Thank you, Father Williams, Father Becker, Reverend Fathers, and my dear brothers. So my vocation story begins with a Catholic family growing up, one younger sister. We went to Mass every weekend, and we prayed most nights just right before bed as a family, so pretty good formation. But I would say growing up, the thing at Mass I would do, probably like age 4 or 5, I would grab the Blue Gather book, and I would pretend I was reading it, and I would tell myself a cool Power Ranger story about Red Ranger throughout every Mass. So it was kind of a fun time. So that was, but once my faith matured a bit going on, I guess I would say right at the end of elementary school, 5th grade year, I had a rough year, just some bullying and stuff, and my mom sent me to the Catholic schools the next 6th grade year for middle school. And at the middle school, as time went on, once I got to fit in a little bit more through sports, 7th, 8th grade year rolls around, and I meet this priest there, our chaplain, named Father Latona. And he just treated me with so much compassion, and I really wanted answers about the faith. Like I would probably ask him every week. I probably had a couple questions. I would just pull him in the hall, pull him aside and ask him. And he would just give me good answers. And then but the main thing, he introduced me to prayer, silence, just 5 minutes of silence, and frequent confession. So he introduced me to really good things, and I desired to grow in the faith more and more. So after 8th grade year, I went on a Steubenville conference. And if you don't know what that is, it's a conference for high schoolers, a weekend long. The one I went to was in Missouri. And to be honest, I did not want to be there because there are like 3,000 people, and I was just way overwhelmed, way too many people. But there was a Saturday night, there was adoration, so Jesus was on the altar. And during this adoration, being afraid, all of a sudden, all I could focus on was Jesus in the Eucharist. Don't know why, but it brought me so much peace. I forgot about people around me. I knew they were there, but I wasn't worried about them. And I was just praising the Lord in song. I just started singing, not caring. And after that experience, I knew Jesus was real for the first time, because that didn't come from me anywhere. And I knew that he knew I was real too. So I had a couple good buddies on this conference with me. And that night, after adoration, the 3 of us woke up at 3 a.m., and we talked about priesthood randomly in the middle of the night. And then I hardly remember it, but my friends remind me of it. But then the next morning, Sunday, the bishop in Missouri invited any guys who were just open to the idea of priesthood to come up for a blessing after Mass. And I was not going to lie, I was definitely open to it. I knew Jesus was real, present in the Eucharist. I kind of was very glad my buddies came up with me, though. So the three of us went up, because I didn't want to be the only guy at school being the one who wouldn't date anyone. But that was, yeah. So I was glad they went up with me. So the 3 of us went up there, received a blessing, came back to our seats, and went on to high school. So high school came, and I was encouraged by this Father Latona still. He was there my freshman year, to keep praying and to grow more. And that's really what I did. It was very simple, 5 minutes of silence before bed. And over time, I was encouraged to get a spiritual director just to talk about the faith with. And about sophomore year, I got one, and it was the new chaplain who came, and we met only every other month or so. And that was really good, just to have someone to talk to. And as I grew in faith over the latter years of high school, I had this desire to respond to St. John Paul II's new evangelization, which means re-evangelizing Europe and America because our parents have fallen away. So that grew in me, and I hosted this team of Net Ministries guys at my house, who was a missionary group out of West St. Paul here, and I realized, it clicked, they respond to that new evangelization, and I desired to do that. So I talked to my spiritual director, and actually, after high school, I did a year of NET. And the cool thing was, during this year, I was put on what's called a parish team. So I was at one parish for the whole 9 months, just 30 miles north of here in Forest Lake, Minnesota. And at that parish, I saw the lives of 2 very different priests, one very young, full of energy, and one very mature, middle-aged, and he knew how to govern very well his parish. And I was just like, hey, they're good lives. I'm filled with joy by serving these people. And it was kind of like a no-brainer to enter seminary for me. Like, in my mind, I was like, you know what? I'm open to it, and I find joy in serving. Why not give it a shot? So that's what brought me here ultimately, and I applied, got accepted. And since being here, I guess the biggest growth has been just receiving the Lord's love and still growing in that. But I'm confident that the vocation that the Lord is calling me to will be a great response to that love. I'm very confident in the Lord's mercy. So praise be Jesus Christ.
Now